Good evening. I'm Jack Smith, KE4LWT, candidate for section manager, Virginia section of the American Radio Relay League. Before starting, I'd like to take a minute to thank Carl, Whiskey 4 Charlie Alpha Charlie, for filling in as the interim section manager with the passing of Joe Powell. The amateur radio service is one of the few endeavors where anyone of any age or physical ability can make a difference in their community. By definition, the amateur radio service is a public service, and our licenses are granted to us with that in mind. Whether you're a casual amateur radio operator, a committed contester, or scratch builder, you're learning skills that can help your community, often in times it's most needed. Prior to sending you an invite to this video conference, I reviewed the various ARRL club websites and noticed that public service was referenced almost universally, which really speaks to where the heart of the amateur radio service is. Boring you with my resume isn't really important. If you want to read it, it's available on LinkedIn, or I can send it to you. It's more important to share with you examples of success. For example, I'm running on my record, which includes writing the only actual simulated emergency test plan since 2016, serving on the Strategic Planning Committee, and co-authoring the strategic plan, the creation of an MCOM Wiki to keep information up to date, and developing several training packages and presentations for the section. And of course, timely response to sections from the field and assisting all those who ask. If I already held a section level appointment as, say, an assistant section emergency coordinator, you can be sure that I would have made certain that at the very least, the ARRL section website and programs that I had input on would be up to date, which they are not. Here are a few highlights of a career serving. Created and maintained several knowledge management systems, continuity systems, and communication systems to help facilitate geographically dispersed groups working together towards a common goal. In my current day job, I continue to do much the same thing, but with a slightly different focus. That is, to communicate and coordinate with government and volunteer agencies in times of need. It is these skills that are needed to lead the Virginia section of the ARRL, a large organization with diverse interests. Worked in almost every major hurricane or flood to have hit the United States in the past 4 decades. And also saw the largest wildland fires, tornadoes, and public service events. Been that rare DX station in El Salvador and Guatemala. Served at every level from the ground up to developing the response plans. Was a public service in the intelligence community for over 37 years. During that time, I led organizational change to modernize, staff, and streamline many, often working hand in hand with outside partners. Developed interagency training plans, contingency plans, and led national level training events. Recruited and trained hundreds of volunteers throughout the country and provided guidance to help them be better members of their community. My philosophy, my platform, if you will, is to enable us as an organization to do 3 things: communicate, collaborate, and coordinate. Let's talk about communications with each other first. Today, we have no communication system where leadership can communicate with the field organizations, members at large, or vice versa. Once we've got that going, we must communicate with our greater communities, whether they are emergency management professionals, partner organizations or educators, or the general public. Without demonstrating proficiency in communications, we're not going to maintain relevance in the coming years. Then there's collaboration. We must work together to determine which of the organizational goals are highest priority, and then work through those in order to obtain the best results. Then once we have the highest priority items either under control or well underway, move to the next one. As some examples, amateur licensing increased in the past year due to the various lockdowns, but membership in many organizations was either stagnant or in decline. Those that were most successful in recruiting and retention were those that embraced technological solutions, such as we're using right now, Zoom, Teams meetings, and others to keep members informed and involved. Sharing how those groups have seen success can go a long way, as can sharing other best practices. To this end, I've already put into operation a collaborative portal, which some groups are beta testing now. Considering the 2 points we just discussed, communicate and collaborate, we can coordinate to improve on the way we work together as a team across the section. Our members who are active in things like Parks on the Air, Summits on the Air, contesters, and QRP groups who are not focused on public service can still share what they learn with us from their outings. And we, in turn, can work with them to help get them more contacts, more exposure, and more members. If a club is doing a recruiting drive, but is in need of someone with a certain technical skill set to demonstrate, coordinate with a neighboring group, or even a distant one can consider joining in by telepresentation. By coordinating these types of events, we can present a more unified face to the public. Thank you for my stump speech. And I've received some questions by email and by text message earlier, or you can send some to my lovely assistant, Susie, KD5YBF, via private chat, or you can raise your hand on the reactions buttons below. And let me turn the sound on so I can hear anyone. Yep, I'm. Yes, sir. Ben.
Yes, good evening. My name is Ben. I live in Fairfax, and thank you for the opportunity to hear your presentation and to ask you a question. And I'm flattered that I was chosen to be the first. I live in an HOA, and I've been in my house for more than 10 years. So I have a wire in the trees, and I do pretty well with that. Yes. However, I'm hoping that I can get your plan of action as it relates to trying to mitigate some of the restrictions on HOAs like the one I live in. We know that proposed legislation has gone nowhere in Congress, and I won't even get into the reasons why. We all know why. It's very hard to get anything passed in Congress, but I think our attention needs to be focused at the state level. And my personal view is that we need to do a full court press on the Virginia House of Delegates and the Virginia Senate to remove some of the draconian restrictions. Basically, I happen to be on the board, so I thought I could affect some change, but I need to kind of gently walk this, and to do it alone, I think would be difficult without some help from the ARRL. So to conclude, my HOA bylaws and covenants say no antennas whatsoever unless they are TV antennas. So can we perhaps get a lobbying effort going on the state level so I could at least put something on my roof that's larger than 5 feet long? And I don't need a tower, but I like to put something on my roof. Thanks for your time and for taking the question. Thank you.
And Ben, that's actually one of the questions I had received by email. So, yep, pretty much it gets tough. It really does, because it gets into contract law. And the way the courts have looked at it is, if you signed a contract, then that's what it is. Now, having said that, the PRB1 at the federal level did add in exemptions to over-the-air receive antennas, as you alluded to. And also, at the time that PRB1 was written, let's be honest about it, the antennas that, they even excluded satellite TV antennas. But at that time, for those of us who are old enough to remember, the satellite antennas back then were, meters across. Yeah, I mean, they were huge. So I do believe that PRB1 and I don't remember the code for the state of Virginia does need to be revisited. And if we can get a lobbying effort going, I'm all in favor of it. And I do think it's worth the effort. The hard thing is because it is a contract issue. And that's and you sit on the board, so you already know where I'm going with this, is it's hard to get them to change something. If you are a member of an HOA at the time that they added in something, then you've got a little bit more of a leg room. But I'm certainly willing, if we can get some membership in the various parts of Virginia to get in on that, we can, I'm all in favor of trying to get something through the House of Delegates. Yeah, do you have one? Kevin.
Then how could you build a relationship between section and the Virginia Defense?
And the Virginia, hold on, let me unmute Kevin. Can you hand it to me then? Yep. Hang on a second, I got to get off camera for a second. Well, my arm's not long enough. Okay, Kevin, how could between the section and the Virginia? Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. So Kevin asked, how could we build a relationship between the section and the Virginia Defense Force? That's actually pretty good. Very good question there, Kevin. And you and I have actually talked about this, but I know you want to make sure that the group hears this as a whole. So the Virginia Defense Force is part of the Virginia National Guard, and as such has NTIA authorized spectrum that they use. Under the rules, the NTIA rules and the FCC rules, you can't wear two hats at one time, which is where the liaison stations come in. The Virginia Radio Cache has a relationship already with different groups around the state, and they have workspace in their trailers with amateur radio equipment. And when they go to an area, they bring in amateur radio operators to act as liaison stations in those trailers. So that would be the thing to do there, would be to get that relationship going with the Virginia Defense Force, so that you basically have an idea of who is available in an area, and also who's available from slightly outside that area, to be able to staff those liaison stations and provide that interoperability, because otherwise you're going to be restricted to 60 meters, and that's really not very workable once you start getting into something, because you've only got 5 channels. Does Kevin, or are you? Let me find you down there. Yeah. Kevin, I'm going to unmute you.
Hey, Jack, it's Kevin.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, or?
It does. I'd turn my camera on, except that in fact I'm in McLean Community Center on cell phone, so I don't know how much. Yeah, actually, that's fascinating. I hadn't thought about that. I'm actually the company commander for all of the trailers across the state that we roll out, and we have spaces on the desk for people to sit. I had never thought about, even though a lot of us are licensed, about bringing in somebody outside the organization, not in uniform, to work those amateur frequencies at the same time. That's something I'm going to have to think about. That's actually not a bad idea. So,
and it's a, I mean, you and I are going to know what we're talking about when I say this. It's a force multiplier.
Indeed.
It frees up your people to do their jobs and manage their spectrum and their communications.
This is, I like where this is going. Yeah, let me think about that, and hopefully if things go well for you, the election, we'll be talking more about it.
Well, thank you. Let me say,
There's another one.
I've got John Peterson here. John Peterson, what is your opinion of DHS's AUXCOM program? And do I plan on incorporating AUXCOM into Virginia ARRLs? Yes. I've actually taken the AUXCOM class, and I took the second offering here in Virginia. And in the ARRLs training task book at level 3, AUXCOM is optional. And to me, having completed everything you have to have for ARRLs level 2, which is IS 100, 200, 700, and 800, and then EC 016, I believe it is, I can't remember. You're already, you've taken all the prerequisites to take AUXCOM. The problem, of course, we have in Virginia right now is there is no statewide AUXCOM program, so people can't get signed off on their task books. That's kind of an issue. And I know we have a liaison that's working with the state on that right now. And in fact, he's in this group. So let me, yeah, there he is waving his hand. That's Brendan. Let me find, only having one pair of glasses. That, let me see, I'm trying to find John Peterson to see if I can unmute you so I can see if that answered your question. Well, crap, I can't find you, John. John, I can't see you. Oh, there you are. There you are. Let me. John, does that kind of answer your question?
Sure does. Looks like Brendan's got his job cut out for him though.
He's the liaison.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any follow-ups, or is that?
Oh, give me time. I'll probably think of another one.
May I speak for a moment?
Is that Rich?
Rich, W4NMH.
Yes, sir.
Currently well, at least my last title was the technical specialist for the state. 30 years in communications, 10 years with P25 and digital mobile radio. So a couple of things. One is, it seems like you nailed it with, we've lost a way to communicate across the state. We had a Facebook page. There was some dissent in there, so it was shut down rather than moderated, or some real answers or whatever. It depends on which side of the fence you're on. But it could have been moderated, vice shut down. In fact, I called that individual and I said, you've done doomed us, because at least when you're subscribed or follow a particular Facebook, and I don't care what app or whatever it is, at least you get a notification there's a change. What drives me to go to your website that's not finished yet? And we're on website number 3 since I've been in this section. So and I know you're working on one now and so forth, and that's great, but we need something to let us know. I mean, we had Aries Connect and then it just disappeared.
Yes.
So we need, you've nailed it. We need this. We need to notify people that there's something for them to look at it and moderate it to where it's not, oh, here's a picture of my new radio. I'm sorry, I ain't got time for that right now. There's other groups for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so you got to moderate it.
Yes.
The other thing is, as there's been a steady decline in Aries collaboration and cohesiveness and the dissent and so forth, it seems to me that a lot of people have gone off into their own little groups. Okay. And I understand why. I get it. We've considered that in our local area. Let's take care of our customer And if we need to partner with Aries, we'll do it. But because Aries is in such disarray, we need to do something locally. And that's what a lot of groups have done. So you have all these splinter groups now. How do you bring those groups in together? Because now there's, 300 different messages going out to the customer. But when you say ham radio, it needs to be one single message. This is what we're going to do for you. This is our capabilities. This is what we're here for. You've got to bring them back together. Okay, it's great they're in their own group, but we've got to bring that partnership back in and have some collaboration, just as you're saying. It's a tall order. It's a tall order. Let me tell you. There's a lot of personalities out there and a lot of directions people have gone because we've lost this core over time. The core has disintegrated and people have walked away. And I understand why a lot of it happened. But how do we get back to this unified, what brings people into unification? So one of my questions to you is, and there's two candidates running. I understand my ballot's still sitting on the table. If the other candidate was to win, and I'm not saying they are or which way I'm voting or anything, would you be willing to support them in this effort? Because it sounds like you've got a lot to offer. I don't know how the voting is going to go, but it sounds like we need you. You know what I'm saying? So, some people, they run for an office, they don't get it, they walk away. I don't want nothing to do with it. I hope that doesn't happen here. We need you. Okay, we need
Yes,
you,
sir.
and you're on point.
Well, to the will I take my ball and go home? No. The MCOM Wiki is here to stay. That is going to be here whether I win, whether I lose, and I've actually funded it for the next 5 years. So it will be here whether I am or not. And the way it is set up right now is I'm shelling out along with some other folks. We've been doing some beta testing and simultaneous Zooms where we've been building the pages at the same time and trying to come up with something that captures all aspects of amateur radio and emergency communications together. And for those, I'll touch on that back here in a second, but and give a single source where you can either drill down to your local level at your county and you can see what amateur radio clubs are in your area, what emergency communications club, hopefully it's an Aries group, and hopefully it's an ARRL affiliated club. But even if it's not, they will have all that information together so that they can share that information. And then it can go up to the Aries district level, which is some of them already built, or to the state section level. And I've already been approached by several states who want to get in on it, but I'm kind of got them on hold right now because I want to make sure that we have some good templates going. But the idea is to have enough information there that any group can go in there and have professional looking information that they can use. Not something that is 6, 8, 9 months old that has the wrong data in it that we have right now. That has got to stop because that doesn't help us as an organization. It doesn't help us present ourselves to, going back to what Ben was asking about the HOAs, and we're going to talk to our state legislators or national legislators. I mean, let's face it, their big thing is, what can you do for us? And we've got to be able to show them that. And right now, with the exception of a few groups, I mean, there are some awesome groups out there that are doing great things, but they're isolated. They're little isolated pockets, and they're
Exactly.
The ability to work together was taken away. So this site, for those of you who want to go to it after this talk, it's MCOM Echo Mike Charlie Oscar Mike .org or .com, both work, and you can kind of go in there and test drive it. You cannot edit unless you log in, and that also goes to what you were asking about. which is how can we keep people from mucking it up? If somebody goes in there and mucks it up, that can be undone with a single click. Everything that person has done, either on that page or site-wide, can be removed. So if it's malicious editing, that can be removed. Having said that, I did not put in there a place for people to be able to do Facebook or Instagram type things. This is just strictly an information site. So, like I said, after this, if you want to go in there and have a look at it, and then shoot me an email and ask questions about it, comments, snide remarks, please feel free.
Now, why did you name it MCOM Vice Virginia MCOM or something like that?
Because I actually have it set up to be national in nature eventually. Because let's just take, for example, Harrisonburg. Harrisonburg is on the West Virginia state line. Or we have, Fairfax is up in the national capital region. So they will have a need to collaborate with people across the state line. So that ability in there, they need to be able to see that each other's information, know who that county emergency coordinator is across that state line, or who that section manager is, or who that section emergency coordinator is. They need to be able to know that information, and they need to be able to get it quickly. Okay,
and another question, jumping a little bit. Speaking of
Yes.
specialty groups, I'm the Area 5 Skyward manager here in the Tidewater area, and so I think we're in the master plan. But a lot of times when there's exercises and things like that, we seem to be left out. And even if we're just a message generator of certain weather events, we can generate some cool stuff from the logs of actual weather events and stuff like that. I'd like to see more collaborative participation. Even part of our script says that, when communications fails, we're going to help keep people informed, not just about weather stuff, but the EOC to whatever. And the other thing is, do we have a group manning the Richmond? Because every time I walk into an EOC down here in my professional environment, basically everyone's like, yeah, we got to talk to Richmond. We got to talk to Richmond. Yeah, we do. But is there going to be someone at the other end to talk to? That's the question I have. I don't mention it in my professionalism, but I'm wondering that in the back of my head. Okay, we're making it so we're putting up antennas, HF, WindLink, all this stuff. Will there be a group manning Richmond at this point?
Well, to be honest with you, we're going to have to work on that. Our current leadership has not put the effort in to make that happen. That will have to happen.
I think there was a denial of access at some point too, and I don't know the story.
Yeah, there was something that
I think
went on
someone
with
slipped
that.
and fell or something, and they had concerns about liability or something.
That's my understanding, but I don't know the whole story on it, so I don't want to really get into it.
Right.
But that is something that has to be worked on, because if we can't communicate with the state, and of course that goes back to Kevin with the Virginia Defense Force, so that we need to work with them to get an amateur radio operator in that seat next to them, so that that message traffic can go back and forth between those NTIA systems and those FCC systems. So all those are very good points, and they're things that we have to work on. Susie just handed me I don't see any hands up right now. She handed me Jeff KC4LWT. Let me see if I can find you in the trying to find you in this tiny screen over here. There you go. So Jeff, I'm going to unmute you real quick, or ask you to unmute. And your question was, I thought PRB1 was active in 30 plus states. PRB1 is federal. So that's everywhere. Yes.
Yeah, if you look down farther, I posted the state law
Right. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And yeah, Virginia laws 15.2-20. Yes. What's
My
interesting-
opinion to the ARRL was that they tried too big of a chunk. They were trying to change federal. And I said, well, if you start at the state level, then usually one state will roll to another state, will roll to another state, and then you can go federal. In my opinion, they went too big too quick. They had to sell it to the states first, and they
Well,
didn't do that.
Now, part of the reason behind that is the communication spectrum is the privy of the federal government. Just like states cannot regulate airspace. You know, you see all these crazy drone laws that states are trying to pass in cities and towns and all that kind of stuff. They can't do it. They do not have that legal ability to do that. There are some things they can do. And I'll give you North Carolina as an example on the drone thing, is they can regulate where you're standing. You know, so, but the aircraft in the air, they have no authority over. Once that aircraft is in the air, they have no authority over. So the same thing with the FCC. The FCC regulates communications. Now, the antennas and all that gets into a little bit different thing. Our biggest challenge with that is going to be, and I should have mentioned this with Ben, is who we're up against, and that's the real estate agents and developers. They've got. I'm not going to say they've got more numbers, but they have an
Got
organization.
more money.
Well, yeah, they do have more money, but also they have more organization, because right now we have none.
I can tell you that I've never wanted to live in a HOA, but people that I know personally and family and friends that live in HOAs wish they had never. I've got a cousin in Texas right now that they sold her HOA organization to a group in California, and they were complaining about, you need to clean your yard up and this, that, and the other. Well, it was still in the fall, or it was still not time for things to turn green yet, is what it was. But yet in California it was, you know what I'm saying? So there's a disparity there, but I'm just saying it's big money to them. They get to collect money from every homeowner. So I get to pay someone to tell me what to do with my property. No, I'm not doing it. But that limits where I can live. So there's a freedom of choice is taken from me.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy the hobby and I don't want to be under the thumb of a HOA, but yet I have no choice and can't opt out of it. And that really, you know, I think it's more of a civil rights thing than anything else, really. I mean, I can understand them regulating the pool or the guest house, you know, or curbside or something like that, or where you park. I get that. What color my door is and how many flags I have up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't know why someone doesn't challenge it on a civil rights issue.
In some states they have, but they have, you know, and they've had some success, but other states have not. So, I mean, that's the answer there. And, but again, it goes to numbers. You know, we're not showing the numbers we need to. Let me, Mark has a question. Where is it? Is it, did you write it down?
KE4LWT says that you're dabbing in Arden. There's a Virginia Arden group looking to expand Arden networks across the state for MCOM general and insurance.
Where's, I'm trying to find him here. Is it, you said it was Mark? Hey, Mark, can you raise your hand so I can find you here in the crowd? There you go. Okay. So Mark's question was regarding the Virginia Arden, and yes, they are wanting to expand that, and I think I've actually got them on the MCOM Wiki already.
Hey, Jack, this is Brendan. Just so you know, if Mark's not going to let you know, Mark is one of a very small group of people that is encouraging the use of Arden as the ICOM replacements to support the medical support at the Marine Corps Marathon. And
Oh,
we've
okay.
been, there's a small team of people doing that and Mark is leading that effort. So he
Okay,
does really good work.
but yes, I've already got that, I'm pretty sure, on the MCOM Wiki, and if not, you are more than happy to add that up at the state level or to edit what I already have up there.
Okay, I was just making you aware there are a group of people that are
Oh, yes,
meeting
sir.
monthly and just trying to expand the Arden connectivity through the state,
Mhm.
you know, for the, you know, for MCOM and just the general amateur
Yes.
stuff as
And-
well.
And actually, you know, I'm going to kind of go back to something here in a second. So, you know, why the MCOM Wiki was called MCOM versus amateur radio or Virginia amateur radio, the one state versus all the others, I think I've already addressed. But why MCOM? Well, that really is, there's two things. One is primarily marketing. And as I was saying, when we go to talk to our legislators and we're trying to get them to pass legislation that will work in our favor, the one thing that they're looking for is what have you done for me lately? And that's what they're looking at, is they're looking at what value are we providing to the Commonwealth of Virginia, or in the case of our national legislators, what value are we providing to the nation? And so we have to always, no matter what it is, whether we're talking about people who are like I like to dabble in building different radio projects. We have to be able to demonstrate how that relates back to MCOM, even if we don't have a major focus on that. So we have to be able to do that to get them to make those exceptions in the HOAs, to make those exceptions in the local zoning laws, or to plead our case when we're trying to put up a tower. We have to be able to put things out there in a way that makes them see us as a value to the community. Because otherwise, the NIMBYs, not in my backyards, they will win, and we can't let them win. Any other questions?
Greg also discussed matters related to the election position.
Greg Butler? Greg Butler. Okay. Yes, sir. Greg Butler.
Yeah, I know you mentioned earlier that you'd received some other questions via either text or email.
Mhm.
I wonder if you could cover some of those.
Yes, certainly. So we talked about the clubs a little bit. And so I've already covered a lot of that, how some of them can have had really great success and how some have not. And I'm going to give a couple of examples, just talking about clubs and organizations in general, not just the amateur radio or emergency communications focused ones, but just in general. So I know a lot of us are veterans, and some of us may still be members of the VFW or the American Legion. But it's hard to talk about them without without reflecting on the fact that they're having a hard time, because a lot of those organizations are just stuck with what they've been doing, since World War II, after the Korean War, and they haven't been moving along. The groups that are seeing growth, or at least maintaining their position in their community, are groups like Team Rubicon, Team Red, White, and Blue, the Lions Club, the ones that are still showing their public, their public service and giving people something to do of value, or or that they perceive of value, of course, is how you get the public to see you as a value, and how you get people in the public to want to come into your organization. So we really need to look at those organizations that are being successful, and at the same time we need to look at the ones that are not being successful, because learning from other people's failure is just as important as learning from other people's successes. So that's some things we need to do. Talked about the HOAs. Let me see.
You've mentioned in private that you have thoughts about contesting and youth and the national traffic
Yes.
system.
Okay, so the contesting, I actually have piddled with it. I'm not very good, I'll be honest. Mostly because, up until we retired here 4 years ago, I was moving every couple of years. So it was really hard to contest. And of course, for those that are fairly recently out of the military pretty much shut down all the club stations on post, which just really irritated the crap out on me. But those contesting stations are some of our most powerful assets, and pun intended, where they can get through conditions that most of the rest of us can't, and they can teach us how to do things overall. We can really learn from them. So I think contesting is a great way to do it. And in fact, for those who took place in the simulated emergency test, I tried to build in the scoring some contesting aspects in there, recognizing, of course, that every county is not the same size. Every county and independent city is not the same size. So I had to make some modifications in there so that it would be percentage based. But I tried to build that into that. But of course, with only about 10 days before the SET was announced by our section emergency coordinator, it was tough to get that information out there. So I don't know who all saw that or not. I will be happy to share that with groups so that we can tweak it for in the future. And again, whether I'm elected or not, that information will be available. I will help anyone who wants to with that. One of the questions I received was about digital communications, and in particular WinLink. So the thing there is that a lot of people are worried that the MCOM groups will be asking for more of the existing bandwidth to move into. And I'm honestly against that. And I'll tell you why. I think that we already have the capability of using it a lot more efficiently than we do. But also, if we look back to 2013, I think it was, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, 2013, the ARRL petitioned the FCC to remove the archaic bit rate or symbol rate rule and go more towards just regulating at bandwidth, which is what most of the rest of the world does right now. For example, PACTOR 4, the higher speeds of Vera and other modes can be used over in other countries, including in Canada and Mexico, our neighbors, but we can't use those higher speeds. So we could get a lot more information down that pipeline if they got rid of that archaic bit rate or symbol rate rule and let us be able to do that. So some of our FCC rules are, as we've discussed earlier, quite archaic. So I'm definitely, if I get elected, definitely going to push the ARRL to re-engage that and try to get that petition back before the FCC and try to get us back on footing with the rest of the world. Another question was about Ham Fest. And what to say? I mean, they're not having them is affecting us. A lot of us like to see each other face to face. This is a substitute, but it's a poor substitute. There is nothing like sitting across a table from each other and seeing each other, having a cup of coffee, and brainstorming problems and trying to come up with solutions. And while this, is okay, it's not a substitute. Now, granted, not all of us are going to be able to do that right away when they come back because of various health reasons. But as it's safe to do so, I really encourage people to get out and do that. But of course, your own health and your family's health are tantamount. Let's see, I have a hand up there. So that's Ken. Let me. Yes, sir, Ken.
Hey, this is Ken, W4RUS in Northern Virginia.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. If let's assume that you're elected,
Yes, sir.
And a year from now, you would look back and say, I accomplished these 3 things. What would they be?
Okay.
What are your top 3 priorities?
So my top 3 priorities, I'm glad you asked that, sir. My top 3 priorities are to get our information straight. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you go to the ARRL's website right now and you pull up the field leadership database, did you know that they're showing that we have 9, count them, 9 assistant section managers? What the heck are they doing? I mean, do they even exist? Some of them don't even live in the state anymore. But according to them, we have 9 assistant section managers. We have, again, according to either the ARRLVA.com website or the ARRL Field Leadership Database, we have emergency coordinators that have passed away. We have emergency coordinators and district emergency coordinators that have resigned, still listed in those positions. So step 1 is to fix that. We need to know who we have to begin with. Now, I'm not saying that the people we have are not doing their jobs, but we have a lot of people out there that this is going to sound weird. We show a lot of people out there that we don't have. So we've got to figure out what we have and what we don't have and get that under control. The good thing is I don't think that would take very long at all. I think that could be done in the first 90 days. The second thing is to get that information as to who we do have out there, which I'm actually already working on right now, so that we can see who we do have and who is doing what. And then the third thing is to get these groups talking to each other. If we don't communicate with each other, we're not going to get anywhere. So, I think those are not particularly difficult. Why we can't do it or have not done it, I'm not sure, but we haven't. So
By these groups, you mean what?
I mean, all of them. I mean, whether it be a contest group or a club or an ARRL group or an MCOM group or any of our partner organizations. The ARRL is a partner organization of the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters. So those are a tremendous resource of people to get in front of and tell our story to. And when we tell our story to them, we get more members. People get interested. They want to come and join us, whether it's somebody they're talking about, contesting or emergency communications or what have you. We've got to get that out there. And right now, I'm going to be blunt. I'm probably going to make somebody mad when I say this. Our current section emergency coordinator, after he'd been in the job for about 3 years, called me and asked where the Virginia Department of Emergency Management office was. That is unacceptable. I mean, that should, now, who failed on that? I don't know. Doesn't make any difference. But when somebody has a position, they need to know what the heck it is that's expected of them, and be on top of it. And that's everybody, whether it's me or a club president or an ARRL EC. Who do you have? What's your I mean, I think you see where I'm going with that. And I think that those are not difficult challenges. Part of it is just because we have not been talking to each other, or when we have been talking to each other, the plug was pulled.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
David has a question. How do you plan to make yourself available and visible for the rest of the section?
Okay, David, who? Oh, let me see. Where is he on there? Yeah, I'm trying to find him here. I've got the wrong glasses on. So let's see. So Dave asks, how am I going to make myself available and visible? I've already penciled in a calendar where roughly every 3 weeks, yes, every 3 weeks, and I'll explain the math in this in a second, I will have a Zoom session with every geographic region in the state. There are 7 geographic regions, and if you do one every 3 weeks, that gives you 2 every year, where an open session like this, questions and answers, identifying what the problems are. And like I said, that's every ARRL organization, whether it be an affiliated club, a member that's not a member of a club, or an ARRL group. So they can all join in by geographic area. It'll be rotating. It'll work out to about, by the time you take out the holidays, it works out to roughly, or to right out twice a year. And also, of course, for those of you who already know me, I usually answer my emails within about 48 to 72 hours, even if I'm traveling for work. I am not hard to get hold of, and that will not change. Dave, David, does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, pretty much. I want to encourage you, if you are elected to this position, to consider visiting a place like the Berryville Ham Fest. The Berryville Ham Fest is probably one of the best ham fests in the state. Yes. And I say that being a 20+ year member of that club. So
no bias though.
We haven't had the presence of section leadership at this ham fest in a long time. Yeah. And I understand the whole COVID thing and all that. By the way, our ham fest, as far as I know, is still happening the first Sunday in August. Okay. So put it on your calendar. But even Zoom meetings and stuff like that, I think your ability to get around the section and let people know who you are and what you're doing and what's going on in the section, like you've alluded to before, very important that the word gets out and people know what's going on. And I've heard some great comments tonight. You got a lot of good people out there that want to do great things, but we got to have the leadership in place to start making that happen. So thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Dave. Anything else over there?
Brandon put out about the Vienna wireless Winterfest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Brendan put out about the Vienna Wireless Winterfest. So,
March 27th.
That's the Virginia Section Convention again this year.
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately or fortunately, it falls on a date where current leadership would be in place. But we may know the result of the election by then. So,
Yeah, but I could get with Carl and see, well, there's, what's the date for it again?
oh geez, now I have to go look at the link. March something, March 27th,
Yes.
Sunday, March 27th.
All the votes have to be in by February 22nd. So I think they would know the answer pretty quickly.
Yes.
So I think it would be appropriate for either myself or if Terry gets elected to get with Carl and go as section manager elect. I don't think that would be an issue. But that's a very good point.
And we are planning and making plans to have an in-person event. And then the speeches and the presentations would be the presenter's choice to either be present or be virtual. So, we're going to follow the guidance of the state and the university that hosts the event. And if they say no, then it won't happen in person. And we'll quickly pull something else together. But right now, the plan, if you go to that link, is to do it in person.
Okay. And David asking, has his hand up again? Yes, sir.
No, that was
Dave
just that was just a thumbs up to Brendan.
Oh, okay. I don't have my good glasses on for the distance. I have the monitor away.
That's all the questions that I see.
Any other questions? Let's see, I believe. So I just want to kind of sum this up with what my vision is for Virginia. And that's to be part of a team that wants amateur radio in Virginia to reach its full potential and to be able to demonstrate our value to our communities. And at the end of the day, maintain our relevance and maintain our spectrum. That's the big thing. And I don't see it as a particularly well, it's going to be a challenge just because we have so much to rebuild. But that's I don't see it all that horribly difficult if we delegate that out and help each other out. Let me see. I saw somebody posted something real quick. I didn't catch it about the HOA stuff.
So they didn't ask their HOA, and they can't put up clothesline.
Can't even put up clotheslines. Is that what?
Yes, sir. We can have antennas, but no clotheslines. So if your antenna looks like a clothesline, you better watch out. So.
Yeah, I mean that, and I will say that that's kind of the beauty of it is not all people in running HOAs understand what PRB1 says, which is a good thing. So if you can, sometimes it's better to put it up and just pretend like it is. In fact, I've had antennas up on Navy bases and Army installations where they were supposedly prohibited, but with a wink and a nod from the installation commander, I got them up. So, but again, if I couldn't show that it was going to provide some kind of a value, that would not have happened.
And it says he has his antennas in the attic.
Yeah, the attic antennas are not a bad way to go. We as a group cannot be afraid to drop participants that are not a good role model for the organization and provides, that's RW. Is that WA4KEB that put that up? So anyway, so the it's a statement rather than a question. but we as a group cannot be afraid to drop participants that are not a good role model for the organization or provide support to the participant to support the organization in a positive manner. That is correct. Volunteer groups do fire people or reassign them to a role that they are more capable of fulfilling. That's always your first choice, is not to quote fire someone, but to find a position where they can still continue to serve. I'm of the opinion that pretty much everyone in amateur radio can continue to serve into the future. I mean, after all, we all get older. So I think we all can continue, even people with accessible and functional needs. John. Okay, let me find that. John, yes, sir.
Okay, can I speak now, please?
Yes, you may.
In regard to HOA,
yes, sir.
Are dogs allowed on for those people? Because I have a fake but usable dog run that I can connect, make an antenna out of immediately, and it's about 30 feet long, and it makes a really good, nice antenna. Strong one, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it never hurts to look at the HOA rules and see what you can do. And as John alluded to, sometimes what you can do, like I've seen lots of flagpole antennas, flagpole verticals. Any other questions?
Hey, Jack, I would just like to throw out there, vote.
Yes, and vote. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that, and I actually say that all the time is, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Yeah, it's, your vote is your license to complain. If you don't vote and you get somebody in office that you don't want, well, so be it. You didn't vote. So.
And spread the word.
And spread the word. Yes. And spread the word. But only if you're going to vote for me. But let's see, I've got that declining here. Okay. I think I've touched on everything that had been asked before. If someone thinks of something that they would like to get information on later, my call sign is Kilo Echo 4 Lima Whiskey Tango, and you can send that to me at gmail.com. The ARRL asks that you not do campaigning using either the .net or the .org addresses, so I'm going to respect them on that. And of course, on the MCOM Wiki, if you see something on there that needs to be fixed, please have at it and fix it. Just on the main page, there's just a few ground rules there. That's all I ask, is that you just keep it professional and keep it on point. And I'll give it one more chance. Any let's see, I see a direct message there that may be me. Let me see. No. I don't see. Oh, Nick. No, I don't think I. Yes, Nick.
Are you able to post the link for the MCOM page? Because I look for it and I can't find it on the when I go to mcom.org or mcom.com, I can't find it for some reason.
It's MCOM Wiki. And
got it. Thank you.
Let me see if
it was just posted in chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. Anything else? If not, well, thank you very much and really appreciate your time this evening. And as Brendan said, get out and vote and let the word, get the word out to get people to get their ballots off their coffee tables or kitchen tables and get them in the mail. Oh, wait a second. I see there's a hand raised. Jeff, KC4RON, I believe it is.
I think he's clapping.
Oh, was that what that was? Oh. Hey, all I can see is a yellow blob up in the corner. All right.
Thanks for your time, Jack.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I will make the recording available. I'll have to, I have a YouTube page, but what I'll do is I will post that and it will be available. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening. And hope to see you soon. Well, I know I'll see a lot of you again soon. So thank you. Bye-bye. You just click leave on the bottom corner.